People were starting to say it's an East Coast, West Coast rivalry because it was people that's trying to make money. It was true people trying to make careers. It was people trying to get famous. It's that I don't want to be involved in stuff where it's negative stuff.
Hi, how do you do?
I need to talk to him.
Oh, okay, sorry.
For years, Wolf was the silent sentinel at Diddy's side, a loyal bodyguard, a streetwise advisor, and, according to a growing chorus of whispers, a man with far more personal ties to the Combs family than anyone dared to admit. We've all seen the photos, the side-by-sides, the narrowed eyes, and the raised eyebrows. From the sharp jawlines to the builds, the bone structure, and even the way they both carry themselves in candid shots.
That Diddy is actually Justin's father.
I wasn't there, but
Just wishful tabloid imagination anymore. Online forums have exploded with side-by-side comparisons. Facial recognition enthusiasts and digital sleuths are dissecting frame-by-frame footage, claiming the similarity goes beyond coincidence. And now, with Suge Knight stirring the pot from his prison cell, people are beginning to ask questions they've been afraid to voice for decades. But this isn't just about who Justin looks like. It's about who was erased. After Wolf's violent and sudden demise in Atlanta back in 2003, his name disappeared from the narrative, almost as if it had been scrubbed clean. No memorials in the press, no tribute posts. And when Justin emerged as Diddy's heir apparent in the late 2000s, there was zero mention of Wolf ever being a part of that story. Yet, according to Suge, who knew both men intimately, the tension between Diddy and Wolf ran far deeper than any bodyguard-client relationship. Suge's account of that fateful night in Atlanta, when his own best friend, Big Jake, was gunned down, allegedly, by Wolf, paints Wolf not as a background character, but as a central figure in a bloody power struggle that no one wanted to acknowledge. What's more chilling?
you don't mind me asking, right? Because I know you and Big Jake was real cool, but I want to ask you, the day he got, can you give me the backstory behind that?
I don't mind at all. By the way, shouts out to Big Jake, you know one of my sons is named after...
Often seen together in settings that went beyond professional, and Suge has gone further, suggesting that Misa and Wolf may have made a pact, one to protect Justin from the volatile, violent world Wolf inhabited. If true, it adds a new layer to the theory that Justin was never meant to know who his father really was, and did he? Perhaps he agreed to play along, or perhaps he was deceived from the very beginning. And then there's Misa herself, the woman, at the center of the silence. She's never spoken about the rumors, never acknowledged Wolf's name in relation to Justin. But in recent years, as Diddy's legal empire has begun to crumble, Misa's own voice has started to break through. After Justin's arrest for a DUI in 2023, she launched into a blistering tirade against Diddy's parenting, branding his lifestyle as toxic and publicly regretting not keeping her son away from that world. She even took direct aim at Combs Enterprises, mocking Diddy's ventures into spirits and nightlife. "Sell something healthy that builds people up. I'm sick of it," she wrote. The rage in her words felt deeper than disappointment, like the eruption of something that had...
Now, Misa went into full mama bear mode and tore Diddy up on the internet, claiming that Diddy's act bad lifestyle is leading their son...
It was about the weight of a secret she's carried for 3 decades, because if Suge Knight is right, and if Wolf really was Justin's father, then Misa Hilton has been living in a web of lies spun not just to protect her son, but to protect an empire built on image, narrative, and control. And now that empire is cracking, and it's cracking fast, Suge Knight has made it clear he's not done talking. In his latest prison podcast, he warned Diddy flat out, "Your life is in danger because you know the secrets." He didn't name names, but the message was crystal. There's a room, there are people, and there are things that went on behind velvet ropes and armed guards that the public was never supposed to know about. Suge claims he knows those secrets too, and if he chooses to open the floodgates, the fallout won't stop at one man's paternity. It could drag in the...
Well, all due respect to Puffy, you gotta realize one thing. He didn't start off like that. I'm quite sure somebody...
That's why Suge's theory about the cover-up is gaining so much traction. He's not just pointing fingers, he's tying knots between bodies, betrayals, and blurred bloodlines. There's a sinister suggestion floating beneath his words that Diddy may have deliberately wiped Wolf's influence from Justin's life, not just to protect his own reputation, but to preserve the illusion of a dynasty. If Justin were ever publicly linked to Wolf, it wouldn't just
We went to the party at the club. You know, I'm with a bitch dancing, doing what I'm doing, but I still got my eye on Jake. I'm quite sure he still got his eye on me. That's what you do when you out. So I can see by Jake's body language.
say Justin looks like Wolf. That pause, that silence, it was louder than any confirmation. Because the truth doesn't always need to be shouted. Sometimes it's felt in what's not. Said the tension isn't just coming from outside either. Diddy's own household has shown cracks. Justin's relationship with his father has reportedly grown cold in recent years, with sources saying he's become more distant and more guarded. And after the LA raids on Diddy's homes and the wave of lawsuits and federal heat that followed, some believe Justin has started asking the very questions the rest of the world is only now brave enough to say aloud. Mansions. The sight of Justin being handcuffed and questioned in front of news cameras sent a signal. Whatever's happening behind those gilded gates, it's messy. It's not the polished aspirational family brand that Diddy once paraded on red carpets. It's a house in disarray, and the shadow of Wolf, long buried, is suddenly looming large. Which brings us back to the night Big Jake was gunned down in Atlanta. Suge swears it was Wolf who pulled the trigger. A fight over a woman, a bathroom, brawl that never happened, and then bullets. Jake passed away. Wolf lived for a while, but even after Wolf's own untimely end, the tension never really dissolved. Suge never forgave. Diddy never addressed it. And Justin, he grew up in the aftermath, in a world of photo ops, scholarship spotlights, and carefully curated Instagram posts. But what if that world was a stage built on a lie that only now is coming into the light? And what if Justin has always wondered? What if behind the celebrity, the luxury, and the cameras, there was a quiet question he never dared ask? What if Diddy, the man he's always called Dad, knew the truth from the beginning? What if everyone did? And what if the silence wasn't protection, but
how your son look like your best friend?
And the eerie resemblance, the pieces begin to snap into place like a crime board in a detective's back room. Wolf was there, Misa was there. And now, Suge's voice, gravelly, bitter, but uncannily clear, is reminding us all that in hip-hop, truth is often buried under the bodies of men who got too close to it. And Misa, her silence may not last much longer. If Justin Combs isn't Diddy's biological son, then what happens to the image we've been fed for 30 years? The first family of bad boy, built on luxury, legacy, and loyalty, suddenly starts to crack under the weight of a paternity. Question. For a man like Diddy, who spent decades curating his mythos as hip-hop's ultimate mogul, the suggestion that the heir to his throne might not even carry his blood is more than personal. It's potentially catastrophic. We're not just talking about a personal betrayal here. We're talking about the erosion of a billion-dollar empire. One that's already been dragged into courtrooms and dark headlines for months. Justin Combs has been presented as the future of the Combs name, from reality shows, to Forbes interviews, football scholarships, to branded spirits. But if the foundation is false, what else starts to unravel? Could it be that his entire rise, his corporate involvement, and his marketing as the prodigal son were all built on something that was never actually real? And more importantly, does he know? Has Justin ever asked the question? Has he?
No, we were very young. Our lives changed just like that, really quick.
Didn't quite match the man he was raised to call Dad. Recent events suggest the cracks are already showing. The DUI arrest in LA was more than a one-off mistake. It became a spark. And when Misa Hilton, Justin's fiercely protective mother, unleashed her now viral tirade online, it wasn't just about parenting, it was about decades of tension, silence, and resentment boiling over. "This is where the buck stops," she wrote. And maybe it was. Because once the family drama hits Instagram, there's no putting the lid back on. Her pointed words, her allusions to deeper dysfunction, and her refusal to protect anyone except her son. All of it reads differently now. Was she speaking from the fury of a mother, or the burden of a long-kept secret? For years, Misa Hilton's public persona has been that of a resilient, fashion-forward force. A pioneer who helped define hip-hop style while quietly co-parenting the son of one of the industry's most powerful figures. But behind the curated Instagram posts and polished red carpet moments, there are growing signs that Misa's journey has been anything but simple. The emotional weight of raising a son under a spotlight while harboring a secret that could unravel his entire identity isn't something you see in glossy interviews. Her recent online outbursts didn't just sound like frustration. They sounded like exhaustion, like the unraveling of a carefully maintained facade. It's not hard to imagine the tightrope Misa may have walked for decades. If she knew or even suspected that Wolf, not Diddy, was Justin's biological father, she would have been forced to make a choice few parents ever face. Speak up and risk unleashing chaos on a child's life, or stay quiet and let him grow up with a version of reality that felt safe, stable.
What was said and what was done to Puffy, he know and I know what was done. I get in a limo, when the ambulance come, Jake was saying he was straight, but he couldn't feel his legs. We get to the hospital.
Sleepless nights, wondering if the truth will eventually crash through.